what has happened with the case of Pete Hexseth and what has happened in, with the bombing of the boat. And we know that two survivors, there were two survivors clutching the burning hole. And then the second missile came in and it just assassinated them.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of repercussions in the United States and in the media and with what has happened and the way that they're attacking Pete Hexet. What is your understanding of what has happened and who's responsible for that? Because Donald Trump was asked about it, and here is what Donald Trump responded.
Can you talk a little bit about the strikes and the controversy around Secretary of Defense Pete Hexet?
I don't know anything about it. He said he did not say that, and I believe him.
So you don't know if there was
You
a
think I read the two men?
the second strike to kill the two men?
He said he didn't do it. He said he never said
Would you be okay with that if he did?
it. He said he didn't do it, so I don't have to make that decision.
Yeah, two things that he said.
Yeah.
He doesn't know anything about it, and Pete Hexet said to Donald Trump that he didn't do that.
Yeah. Donald Trump is Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. Does that reference mean anything to you? So there was a sitcom in the 1960s about American POWs in a German prisoner of war camp, but it was a comedy, okay? And the German Sergeant Schultz was he was known because he'd show up and he goes, "I know nothing, I see nothing, I hear nothing." There was Donald Trump, being Sergeant Schultz. This is an extrajudicial killing. What Donald Trump has ordered the U.S. military to do is a criminal act. It is a violation of the Geneva Convention. It is a violation of the U.S. Constitution. And what is sickening about it is you got so many Americans who are applauding this. Yeah, go kill those drug traffickers. We don't know that they are drug traffickers. Are there some who believe they are? Sure. But we don't get to do murder based on belief. The only legitimate use of force is if the guys in those boats or gals, I'm not sure, we don't even sure what the sexes are. If they're firing at U.S. military personnel, okay, then you know what? If you're shooting at us, we get to shoot at you. What the United States should be doing is stopping those boats, seizing what's on board, providing the proof that this is drug trafficking. But just the dishonesty now of Donald Trump, because on the one hand, he just pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was a major drug trafficker and had actually been in prison. He's given him a pass while claiming that Maduro is involved with this drug trafficking, which candidly, has he probably made some money off of it? I don't doubt that. We got a lot of U.S. politicians that make money off of it. So this is just, it's a criminal act. And I have no doubt that Hexseth said that. Sounds like something exactly like the stupid kid would say. He's relatively young and immature, and he thinks it's a video game. You don't, but let's not blame Trump and Hexseth alone that they're starting something new. This extrajudicial killing people because we think they're bad. That has been done by Bill Clinton. It's been done by George W. Bush. That's where it really got going, right after 9/11. So we began to justify, yeah, we think these people down in this hut are bad, so we're going to kill them. I mean, it's one of those feel-good moments for, America, fuck yeah, and it's murder. And so the United States no longer has any moral standing in the world to criticize or condemn we will call human rights abuses, because that's exactly what we're doing. And it's not stopping the flow of narcotics. You want to stop the flow of narcotics, cut off the money, but we don't, because there are too many U.S. corporations and banks that are making money off of this. That's why we don't stop it.
But Larry, legally, the responsibility goes to Pete Hexet, in my opinion, and he's, after all, responsible. I don't know if we can blame, actually, I don't think Donald Trump has a lot of information on that. He's not
No,
that
no, no,
much
no,
informed
no,
about.
no. Look, Donald Trump is the commander in chief. He is in charge, at least on paper. And Hegseth is a subordinate. So the chain of command, this is a pyramid. Donald Trump sits atop that pyramid. There's nobody above him. Harry Truman had the sign on his desk. The buck stops here. The buck stops with Trump. Trump doesn't get to pretend, oh, gee, I didn't know. Well, if you didn't know, fire Hegseth. What are your orders? And instead, Trump keeps celebrating the fact that we're killing these people. And we don't even know who we're killing. And particularly when if you've blown the boat up and there are survivors under,
It's unbelievable.
to go out and execute people who are then unarmed, not capable of fighting back. It's just, they act like this is some video game. It is a heinous crime. And it is, if you're talking about the karma building up on the United States, man, we got some bad karma coming. We can't keep, but we've been doing it over. We did it in Vietnam. We've done it in Panama, Somalia, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, Serbia. I mean, the list goes on, and we're facilitating murder in Ukraine. So this is just one more example that of political leadership that have lost touch with the law. They're acting outside the law. And yet, you're right, Hegseth has got a responsibility here. He should have said, no, sir, we are not going to do that. It is against the law. I mean, when he was a young officer in the Army, I guarantee you, he was never given an order allowing him to kill unarmed people who may have needed medical attention. No, execute him. So maybe we were learning from the Israelis, or we're behaving like the Israelis, the Zionists. But this is wrong.
How do you see because there are people in the United States arguing that those lower rank officials who are receiving the orders from Hexet, they can just reject the order and don't do that. How do you see that? Is that possible to happen?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's part of what, when they take an oath in the military, there's always the understanding that you can disobey an illegal order. And what constitutes an illegal order? If I say, Nima, I want you to go kill that mother and children. I think they're bad. She said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to participate in that. But this should go all up and down the chain of command. And inevitably what happens, what makes, the U.S. military today such a disgraceful institution, is they usually punish the lower level people and the officers above skate free. You notice that, but this isn't a new phenomenon. Go back to the lie that was told to get us into the war in Iraq in 2003. To my knowledge, not a single senior officer in the chain of command. And so you start with the commander of CENTCOM and the deputy commander of CENTCOM, Central Command. No, they didn't speak up at all. They went along with it. People and the chairmen of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. You know what they could do, what they should have done is said, no, I can't do this. I'm resigning my commission, which means, oh my God, it's gonna cut into your retirement benefits. You're not gonna make as much money as you thought. And they go, well, God, if it means losing money, now I keep making the money. I just shut my eyes and pretend I don't see this. It's happened over and over and over. You know, I spent 23 years working with JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command. And, after 9/11, they got, the drone tracking people with drones and killing people with drones became a thing. And, you know, I counted at one point, I think we'd killed over 40,000 people and accomplished what? Feel good? So that we could, hey, here are these people on the ground. And so we can drop a bomb on them, wipe them out. No more terrorism. And then, then what we find out years later, we're funding and arming some of those terrorists. We're buddies with them. We're using them for our own political purposes. We're not against terrorism, only if they're attacking us. But man, if we can line up with Al Qaeda or line up with ISIS and use them for our own purposes, hey, great. The United States did that with respect to the Second Chechen War, helped finance it and helped to provide fighters that were attacking and killing Russian citizens. Because we had this broader, this so-called higher purpose.
Larry, the Intercept reported on leaked documents, Pentagon documents, in which it shows that Trump plans to harass Venezuela and Caribbean until 2028, and they're planning to stay there. And
you mean that they're planning to keep the naval force off the coast?
Yeah, seems
that's a costly proposition. I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to run out of steam at some point. You can't keep troops deployed like that. It's like if I tell you to grab hold of a bar and hang from it, yeah, you might be able to do that for a minute, but after a minute or so, the muscles and everything, you can't do that forever. That's sort of equivalent to when you deploy this kind of force. It's got lots of moving parts, and when they basically it's like pulling. If you have a bow and an arrow and you pull it back, you can't just keep that indefinite. At some point, you got to let go of the arrow, or you got to release the tension on the bowstring. And so they're not going to be able to keep this up. And I think actually Maduro's in a pretty strong position, because if the United States strikes militarily, they've got a lot that they can do in return. They've got missiles that can be fired that will put some of our ships at risk. They might even sink one or two. We better not ever put anybody on ashore, because American bodies will start piling up. You'll have enough Venezuelans willing to take a shot at us that we'll be in a Vietnam quagmire, only worse. So this is Trump has such a juvenile view of military power. I mean, it really is. It's very simplistic, and it's unfortunate. He should have stuck with his his main sort of belief, at least in the campaign, was that we shouldn't be involved with needless foreign wars. Let's stay at home. Let's build America. Let's make America first. No, we're going to go out and bully Venezuela. He apparently, when he was growing up, his mother never taught him, keep your damn hands to yourself. Stop meddling in the affairs of other people, other countries. Clean up your own act. Set an example at home. Instead, boy, we're going to get ourselves embroiled in something that's going to be pretty messy.